So the goal of this organization, the goal of this website, my personal goal being somebody that's went through 15 years of homelessness and has overcome that, the purpose of this website, there's many purposes, but I'll try to start from the beginning. One, educating the homelessness population, and also educating the housed population of the community. Coming from somebody that's been through homelessness, overcame homelessness, got employed to organizations that are advocating for homelessness, and I could see the flaws in the system and also the flaws in those that are there to try to advocate and speak on our behalf, people of the street, people that grew up in the street since they were 14, 15 years old, people with real lived experience. And basically creating a platform for people that are going through homelessness, people like myself that have been through homelessness, to express themselves about the things that need to actually change in the system in order for things to improve when it comes to homelessness. Because mostly the media and the community and society as a whole usually focus on basically putting the blame on the individual, when there's many complexities involved in why somebody may be homeless or become homeless. And also, the worst part about it all is that the system itself is designed and built in a way that contributes to it. And honestly, I feel like the system has had more than enough time and opportunity, with the compliance of the community as a whole, to create this change. And I think that the real change can take place when it's the actual individuals that are either going through homelessness or have overcome homelessness and extreme homelessness for the majority of their lives, starting when they're young. Because these people have an unreal in-depth amount of experience that could be utilized and used for good and used to actually create real change and effect. And I can see where the system is failing in that aspect in many different ways. And I believe personally, from what I've experienced going through homelessness and what I know to be true, even being in the corporate world of, being around employment to organizations that advocate for homelessness, charities, nonprofits, so on and so forth, I believe that there is corruption, misuse, and mishandling of budgets and finances that are distributed in many different ways, through fundraising, through donations, through the community, through government funding, federal government funding, so on, personal sponsors, so on and so forth. It's basically, in a long run, something that I wish that I could do that may not even be fully obtainable, or not, I believe it is. And I believe that change can happen. And I believe that the people of the street need to be the ones dictating the way things are structured and how things are built. And I know it's not easy, and I know it's not going to happen overnight, but I want to start shifting that ability from the system into the individual's hand that has actually overcome homelessness, or give them an opportunity or something to work forward to and look forward to be a leader in their community, and also create change and effect and do things differently than the way that the system does, and see if there's a better result out of that. And I believe there is, because I can clearly see where the system fails and where the system intentionally is designed to stand in the way of the growth and development of people that are going through poverty and homelessness. And I believe it's a lot of it has to do with corruption, and also a lot of it has to be, is intentional, and that's the sad part. So the people that have been injustice the most through this process of homelessness and poverty are the ones that need to dictate and be in control and build the structure and the way things are run around homelessness and are the ones that should primarily be the ones benefiting from all the opportunities around homelessness. Now, right now, it's almost as if everybody except for the homeless person is benefiting off of the evolution of homelessness and in that title alone, because there are a lot of entities that create and generate wealth around homelessness, mental health, and addiction, and they misuse the finances, creating more poverty, creating more homelessness, and more destruction within the system as a whole, and that affects society, and that affects everybody in society. So my goal and my dream, honestly, is to make this more aware, build more awareness coming from somebody that's actually been homeless, and has really been through the streets and has overcome it, because there's so much power in that. And it's so rare, and it doesn't happen often. It just doesn't. And I saw the need. I saw the need for something. I saw a responsibility because nobody else was stepping up to the plate, and maybe nobody else could. It was just as if it kind of manifested itself, and I had to take responsibility because I saw an injustice and I experienced it, and I saw how things could be changed, and I saw how the system was standing in the way of that. So the power and the ability needs, and the opportunity needs to be given back to the individual versus the establishment in this field, in this area, in this social issue. And based off of my 15 years going through homelessness in my life, that's my conclusion. That's my end conclusion. After, overcoming homelessness, getting employed to related fields, and finding things are really, people are not who they claim that they are, and organizations are not doing what they are claiming that they're there to be doing. And they may do a small percentage of what they're claiming that they came here to do in the first place around these social issues, but they're intentionally misusing resource, which is causing more of the same problem and contributing to homelessness and poverty. So I see a way that I could do many things, and change many things, and why not have the individual have the opportunity to do that? Why is it always the people that haven't been through homelessness in the system, and these people of these organizations that claim to be spokespeople for us, and haven't even really been through it? So I think there's something wrong, and that hasn't been addressed and changed, because it is very complex and it is very hard. So I'm going to take the initiative as much as I possibly can. And do I think it's achievable? Do I think it's a realistic thing? I honestly do. And I can see step by step the things that I would need to do in order to start creating this change in effect. And over time that can grow into a model that can be, inherited all internationally, all over the world. I believe it just needs to be steps in a different direction, and it has to be hosted by and navigated by the people of the street, if they feel the responsibility to do that, if they feel that they can handle the responsibility, if they feel called to that, and they've taken the necessary steps to improve themselves and improve their own lives, to put themselves in position to be able to take on such a responsibility. And I feel like I have overcome many things, and it's just kind of naturally led to this position, and it's led to this point in my life. So this is the position I'm taking, and this is my goal, and this is the goal of this is to educate, build awareness, create community, create a true place for the homeless to express themselves in their lived experience, and what corruption they may have experienced, and the flaws in the system that need to be changed in a positive, structured way, that in a realistic way that it can be done, and and this can be advertised to the basically to the masses, and this is something I haven't seen been done very, at all, really, and I feel like people have tried, and and failed in the process, and I feel like I've looked at reasons why that is, and I've analyzed them, and I just feel like I'm called to do this, and I can see a clear path and steps in how it can be done. So I'm going to take that initiative, one way or another, whether anybody supports me or if they don't. This is what I'm taking on. And at least if I can't do things to the vision that I see it, at least I can build awareness, education truly from the people that have actually been through it, create a platform for the homeless where I can even use my own money to advertise their testimonies to reach the public, and more awareness built around what's actually going on. And over a period of time, that can change a lot. It starts with the mind first. For all the people that there's a huge blind spot, and there's a lot of stigma around homelessness, and there needs to just be more community and awareness being built from the actual homeless people, instead of all these other people that haven't even been homeless advocating on our behalf and speaking on our behalf. So not many people like me that come from the street are willing to step up to the plate and take that responsibility anyways. It just so happened that it fell into my hands as a responsibility, and it just started to kind of unfold as things went along in different ways. Like it's almost like a spiritual experience almost, and it has been throughout my entire experience going through homelessness. So bottom line is, I can see a realistic way that things can be changed over a period of time if I start now and I start doing what I can do to contribute to that. As somebody that can convert their 15 years of homelessness and poverty into a real asset that can benefit all, and I think that's what it really takes. I don't think it takes any more government dictated structured systems and employees and all these people, because I think that's the reason why things haven't changed and they are still the same way as they were. And yeah, progression has been made, but then progression has also been lost. It's obviously not an easy task, right? But it needs to be done by those who have experienced the injustice and have witnessed the holes in the system and society and everything in between that are contributing to it. Because first, the education and awareness can be built from somebody like me, from the homelessness community, and that could first change the hearts and the minds of the people that may not understand or may put the blame on the individual, on the homeless person, and just fully it's their fault, which is false, and it's incorrect, and it's inaccurate. And some people will always be convinced of that, and there's no way to change their minds. But I believe over a period of time of putting myself out there in this website and creating a platform for the homeless, and just being somebody that's authentic, that really comes from that street life, and be the one to be out there on the front line, educating, building awareness, constructing solutions, dictating how things should be structured, basically being involved in the conversation around finances, around how things are structured financially, budgets that can be allocated. There's a lot that can be done, and as long as there's a start and an end goal, which there is, a lot can happen in between that. And, I'm only one person that's starting, an organization or a nonprofit, and doing this by myself, and but I believe that if I put in a lot of work towards the right thing, that people will find a way to support me and find a way to be behind me in this. And also, when they see the value in this, and they see the value in what my lived experience has to offer as an individual that's not basically being manipulated by the system, maybe they can see something authentic that they would be wanting to support. And like I said, I have many goals. Okay. So not only is the education, the awareness, giving the platform, but I also have, ideas and solutions around homelessness from step 1 all the way to step 3, like from A to Z. And I've literally wrote these things out in depth from my experience and what I believe needs to be created in order to start changing things in a positive direction around homelessness and poverty. And from my lived experience of 15 years in the streets, growing up in poverty, being around these elements and seeing the system, and also being employed to the system and organizations around that are advocating for homelessness, I've really experienced in a very broad way of what's going on in the bigger picture. And it's a unique experience, and it's a gift, and it's a responsibility. It's a great responsibility. So this is what I choose to do. And the things that I see in the future are, basically what the system already has, shelters, homeless shelters, things of that nature, but new program opportunities, new employment program opportunities suited for, specifically built for the homeless, from people that have been homeless and overcome homelessness, that can think of a strategy, a methodology, a structure on how we can bring people from homeless to sober, to housed, to employed in fields that are related to their struggle, so they can support and build up those who have been through what they're going through. And this is the process that can bring somebody from that to independent, to pulling their people back out and creating this system and cycle and building upon that until it becomes as big as the system, or maybe not as big as the system, but still is contributing to society and contributing to a positive outcome when it comes to homelessness and poverty. And it's going to be structured by people that have been homeless or are homeless, and take all that data and all that information and also share it with people that have already built these structures, and have a conversation and see how both expertise can come together and create something new that's actually going to work. And do I think it's worth all of that effort and all of that resource? Of course it is, because already what the resources that are being used to deal with this social issue around homelessness and poverty are already being exhausted into the millions, into the billions, probably even trillions. And it's a matter of changing the way things are being done to stop having to exhaust resource unnecessarily. And that's also part of the problem. Things need to be reallocated, budgets, finances, and things money needs to be used differently, and it needs to be dictated instead of by the system and people that don't have the lived experience, and be dictated and structured and thought out by the people of the street and by the people with the lived experience that have actually overcome it and been through the entire, experience since they were young kids. And, there's levels, right? Like there's a difference in between someone that spent a year homeless to someone that spent 15 years homeless. There's a huge difference. And there's a difference in between someone that spent 15 years homeless in just one province in Canada, like British Columbia, versus someone that spent 15 years homeless all across Canada in different provinces, to see the inner workings and the systems that are built around homelessness in different perspectives in different parts of the country. Okay? That is a very broad, unique perspective. And I've been blessed enough even to go through that hardship that I went through. There was a reason behind it. and there was a reason behind why I went from one side of the country to the other side of the country. And to experience homelessness in these different places, and also to see how the system responds and how their system and structure is built up to deal with that and shift that reality. and what are they doing? What are they doing wrong? Right. And that's what I got to experience through that process, which is unique. And that's why it's such a heavy responsibility on me to have to be out here advocating for me, for the injustice I experience in my people, and how to fix it. Because if I can't just complain about a problem, I have to offer a solution, and I have to spend a lot of time and thought and realize the responsibility involved in that. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I am doing. And I've done naturally just from going through the experience. When you go through it, it's not something you need to think up or write a business plan or anything, a blueprint to attend to it. It happens naturally through the process. And the solution and the problem becomes so apparent going through that process that you're the only person that can truly create what's needed to change it and fix it. Truly, that's really what it is. And that's the realization that I've had. So this is what it's led me down. It's led me down this path naturally. So that's the goal, and I want to have shelters that are employed by people that were just homeless, went through an employment program that has been structured by people that have been homeless, like collect data and thoughts from the people of the street on how to go about these things, collect that information, collect that data, and have it be done, and that data and information be collected by people like myself that have give opportunity for employment, for growth, development, to put somebody in position to change their community. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is not currently the current structure. It's just not. But the system pretends that it's creating that structure and that opportunity for the homeless, but it's really there capitalizing and profiting and taking advantage of, which is creating more of the same problem. So this is why we need people that have actually been through homelessness, that have overcome it and been in the streets all their lives since they were a kid all the way up and have overcome it, because that's a very rare thing. So if you can find any one of those people, they were destined for that. That's why people go through trials and tribulations in their lives, believe it or not. It's your weakness is actually your biggest strength. The worst thing that ever happened to you is the biggest blessing in your life, and it's your purpose and how you can contribute to this life, and we all have something to contribute. But the homelessness people get cut out of that deal, and it's always the system that's inheriting it and advocating for us, benefiting from all the jobs, the employment, sucking up all the resources and funds in the name of homelessness and misusing that money because they haven't been through the atrocity to understand it in such a depth that wouldn't allow them to stumble in that way where they would become a part of the problem. That's why it's important to get people like me and give them opportunity, put them in positions, let them, the real people of the street, be the voice of the street, and let everybody in the street contribute to the solution, and give them employment opportunities, financial opportunities that are going to bring them into stability and give them a reason to want to become sober, to become housed and become a part of society and contribute. Okay? So this is what I'm going to achieve regardless if I have the system support or I don't. The funding from the system, which, I most likely won't. So the only way that I'm ever going to be in a financial position to initiate any of these ideas, to get any type of financial support is going to be directly from the people that end up being educated by this website and hearing my testimony and hearing other testimonies of the homeless and coming together as a collective, and crowdfunding, so to speak. There are people that are financially able to support ideas and are looking actively for meaningful reasons to invest their resource into individuals or into organizations or entities that are creating real change and effect around poverty and homelessness and other topics, right? And these people just have a hard time probably finding the right avenue to take that they can feel like they're really contributing to a change in effect, and that they can see, that they can measure, because the system has failed to do that. So, and there's just a lot of dishonesty within the current way things are. And I know that that's hard to understand and hard to accept if you haven't actually been through the homelessness for 15 years yourself. Then you would never know this to be true. You would have to go through the experience itself to see such a thing. It's too great, and it's hard to comprehend. And there's many layers and levels involved in it that's gotten us this far when it comes to homelessness and poverty. So this is the goal, is to create a new way. And somebody that has been through 15 years of homelessness, I feel the pain. I know the problem. I see the solution. I have tried to work with the system before, and the system, in my opinion, used me for my ideas, and then they went and got funding and initiated that program and employed themselves. And I went back to a homeless tent and became homeless again. Okay? That broke my heart. That happened multiple times. Okay? From establishments that know better. But I couldn't understand why the same people that are claiming to be here to support this cause are intentionally being malicious towards me in this way. And actually pretending to support my ideas and then taking them and using them to benefit for themselves, to employ themselves, to get funding themselves. And this is the problem. This is the brokenness in the system, because these people haven't been homeless, so they don't have a conscience in that way to feel any type of consciousness to do that to somebody. It doesn't seem like a big deal to them because they're just feeding their families, they're taking care of themselves. But if you were to go through the injustice of homelessness throughout your entire life since you were 14 years old yourself and see it in such a broad way, you would know how important it is to not contribute to that and harm people. Some of these people may not even realize that they're harming people, and there is a brokenness, and there is something wrong with the way things are currently controlled, dictated, structured through the system, which is contributing to the problem. So this is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. So that is the goal. And there's much more details that I would like to get into, but this video would be an hour long. But I can discuss that with anybody that's interested. But I have many ideas for programs that could be run that could really change things in the community, that can be used as a larger model, that can be inherited internationally, even in the housing system, in the sheltering system, in the street system as a whole, in the way that things are already designed through organizations, so on and so forth, and how could be new models built based off of people's real lived experience, that could do things differently and empower the homelessness population and people that are going through poverty, and put them in a position to have something to look forward to in life, have something to do that's meaningful in life, and give them a reason to want to be a part of society and contribute. Currently, that is not a thing. I believe through the plans that I have and the things that I've witnessed and the knowledge and the experience that I have and what my goals are personally, I believe that I can achieve this over time, and I believe it really will change things, and it will give immense opportunity that hasn't been there before to the homelessness population, to give them motivation and ambition to want to become something more, something better, and use and do that through their own lived experience and their own trauma and their own pain that they've been through, and turn it into a strength and overcome every adversity that's come against them. And then once they have done that through that process, because we need somebody like me to be the living proof that, hey, we can do this, and that's why I knew I had to do it. But it's hard to do for somebody that's grew up in the street. It's near impossible, and we've been betrayed by the system before already, so our trust in the system has been destroyed, and in our trust in society, the way we were treated by society, has been destroyed. So this is why things need to be done differently. The system, I've already tried to convince of this. I've already tried to contribute and work with the system, and I feel like things were not as they appeared to be, and I was betrayed through that process. And this is the initial reason why homelessness people don't want to become a part of the system or society and contribute, because of the betrayal. So I'm no longer wanting to operate through the system or work with the system, because the system has shown me that it doesn't have the true intent that it claims, and it has continuously lied, continuously taken advantage of and manipulated its position to be in a position to help. Instead, capitalize and profit and take advantage of and lie. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if that's something you want to support, hit me up in the contact. I'm also known as Corey Resilient. This is what I'm going to be doing. So anyways, take care.